Well, welcome everybody. We are on session 4, where we've been walking through our 6 steps to scale your business and grow your profit. And these last few weeks, if you've been participating in all the sessions, you've learned to assess your capacity to grow your business and scale 2 to 10x in the next 3 to 5 years. And you've probably identified a few areas that you need to go to work on. You've hopefully got a chance to learn more about how to create a business plan that works, that helps you to grow and scale your business without you being the one that's doing all the work. And then last week we covered marketing and how to generate high quality leads and how to create a simple system to consistently drive new opportunities into your business. Today we're going to be focusing in on sales and just the fundamentals about sales. Next week, we'll talk about building a sales team and leadership skills that you need to run your organization. Even if you don't have a sales team, next week is going to be really valuable to you because we're going to be talking about habits and skill sets that are going to help you to grow your organization, even if you don't have a large team of employees or staff members, because you can be a great leader without having any employees because you may be leading vendors or third-party services and things of that nature. So I still highly recommend you participate next week, even if you don't have a sales team. And then operations is going to be our final session where we're going to wrap things up and put a nice bow on everything. So most of you have already known that we've been doing this 30-day challenge to really help organizations to scale their businesses and really working with the small business owners to give them strategies to succeed in growing their business and to break through the barriers that they may be facing. My brother Jeff and I have been small business owners for more than a couple of decades, grew up as entrepreneurs, and we have been close ever since knowing each other from the very get-go. And we're very passionate around helping entrepreneurs to be successful what they do. We know the pains of not being successful. We know what it's like to fail. We know what it's like to succeed. And we want to show you the best strategies that we found to be successful. And if you have not been fully plugged into the challenge, I'm just going to do a quick review. Everybody that's involved in the 30-day challenge gets a business assessment and a business coaching and strategy session. If you haven't scheduled that, please reach out, post in the chat, or reach out to me, david@growmyprofit.com, and we'll get that scheduled. I have put the Digital Business Optimizer workbook in the chat. This is a tool that we use to organize and to assess and give you strategies to build your business. And if you haven't utilized that, it's a really valuable tool. And all of our members are able to jump into the Scale University. This is our online educational platform, learning management system, and you have lots of opportunities to engage with other people that are participating in the challenge. There's a classroom where there's different courses that you can access. All of the recordings and the slides and the workbooks and everything for the 30-day challenge are located in there. We do post the recordings in other places, but this is the most dedicated place where you're going to find all of the 30-day challenge resources. You can also click on these individual courses and it opens up other content where you can watch videos on particular topics, read step-by-step instructions that give you some insights to the 6 steps that we guide people through. And then there's also downloadable tools that are on certain pages of that content. So you're going to want to make sure you scroll to the bottom of the page. This is our 4th workshop. We may not go full 2 hours today, but that's what we promised. And so we are going to give as much content as we possibly can. And if we don't have any more content to give and there's no more questions, we won't hold you longer. But that's the promise that we made. All of our events can be found in the calendar section. There is going to be a special event tomorrow that I may not have added just yet on this screenshot, but we're going to be interviewing Navy SEAL T.C. Cummings. T.C. Cummings has been a coach for some major influencers like Dennis Waitley, Jim Rohn, and many other success speakers. And he's been kind of their go-to guy when it comes to offering coaching. And so we're going to do an interview and he's going to share some of his SEAL team experiences and educational strategies. And this recording will be located inside of the classroom and you can find it underneath the you can find it underneath the right there, the extraordinary entrepreneur videos. So if you miss tomorrow's event, make sure you take a look at the online platform. So recap of the weeks that we've already covered. These are the sessions that we covered in the first 3 weeks. Today we're going to be focusing on sales growth, next week on leadership, operations, systems being the final week. We also have an opportunity for you to engage with other members in the community. If you haven't already figured that out, there's a section for members where you can see who else is a member, and this is opportunities for networking, building relationships. And if you are contributing, you actually score points, and we keep track of our point getters, and we'll be rewarding a winner for the person that's the most engaged in the challenge, and give them access to our upcoming mastermind event. So make sure you engage and get points if you'd like to be considered for that. And we'd sure love to have you a part of that process. Yes, Nancy is asking, is everything recorded so I can catch up? Yes, everything is listed in the classroom underneath the 30-day challenge. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump into the sales and lead conversion workshop. This is the journey that we have guided business owners through. We use this mountaineering concept where wherever you are today is the base of your mountain, and wherever you want to grow or go is the peak of the mountain. And that changes based upon where you've been and where you want to go. And where you are today, it's not a bad thing. It is what it is. So if you're in a tough spot, that is your current reality, but it doesn't have to be your future. You can begin to grow to the place that you want to go. You just simply have to create the plan using the strategies and tactics that we've shared to help you to get to where you want to go. It's not a matter of if you're going to get there. It's a matter of when you're going to get there. And that's related back to the level of urgency and how you're working, the pace in which you're working, and how excited you are to overcome the difficulties to achieve the outcome that you desire. But there is a guarantee that you can climb this mountain. You simply just need to keep taking the steps. And so if I've found you today and you're disappointed, discouraged, depressed, and defeated, just take a moment, rest if you must, just don't quit. Go back and remind yourself of why you're on this mountain to begin with and why you're climbing, and then focus in on where it is that you're going, why it's important for you to get there, establish a deadline of when you want to be at that point, and then let's just start breaking it down and moving you through the process. So this might be a reminder for some of you as it relates to the fundamentals. I mean, this isn't brand new information. This is more of a reminder for many of you. So, many of you understood sales fundamentals a long time ago, but this might be a good reminder session. So let me just do a quick check and ask those of you that are live here on the presentation, if you have a positive attitude towards sales, meaning that sales are a good thing, sales are exciting, sales are positive, I really love sales, put a 1 in the chat. If sales is a negative word for you, or if it's something that you have some negative thoughts or maybe some bad experiences, put a 2 in the chat. I'd love to just see what our audience is experiencing, because this kind of dictates your future in sales and having sales. So, how you see it is how you do it. And what I hope to help you with today is to see it differently. And I'm gonna put something in the chat message. And for those of you that are watching this that are not in the chat, I'm going to give it to you as well. But I'm going to type something in the chat, and I want you to read it out loud when you see it. So for those of you that are not in the chat, I want you to write down these letters, okay? It's OPPORTUNITY ISNOWHERE. I'll give it to you one more time. OPPORTUNITY ISNOWHERE. And when I put that into the chat, Augustine was first to say what he saw, or say what he heard, and that is, opportunity is nowhere. Or Julie says opportunity is now here. So sometimes we look at something that has had a negative impact on us, like a bad sales experience or a bad sales job and a bad sales manager or a bad sales mentor, and we dictate a different language in our perception of what something is, even though somebody else has a similar experience, but they have a different perspective because something shifted in their perspective. Maybe they met somebody new, maybe they had a different experience. And so what I would say is that if you have a negative experience around sales, remember how you see it is how you'll do it. And if you have a business and you have a negative impression or negative perspective on sales, your business is going to struggle. It doesn't mean that you can't succeed. It's just going to be less likely for a person that has a negative thought process about sales to succeed because sales are required. And I don't mean slimy, pushy sales. What I mean is that you got to have sales. People have to buy something if you're in a profitable organization, not a nonprofit where you're soliciting donations. But if you're in a for-profit company, your business has to have sales to be successful and to be profitable. And you have to create profitable sales, not just sales. So if you see sales as a not good thing, and you see the process of sales as a not good thing, then it's probably going to impact how you do that thing. And so I want you to keep an open mind and take your negative thoughts or the negative impressions that you've had and just set them off to the side for just a moment and be open and curious to maybe how you could see sales differently that may help you to grow your business versus slow you in growing your business or stop you in growing your business. So the sales fundamentals, and there could be different perspectives on what are the base fundamentals, but these are the sales fundamentals that I've come to learn. So there's the first step of prospecting for candidates or clients. Then there's the second step, which is approaching those clients and candidates. And there's lots of different ways to prospect and approach. But if you don't have good skills in prospecting for qualified candidates that you think would need, want, or could use your services or products, and you don't have a good strategy to approach them, to build a relationship, to start a conversation, to move them to a point where you can decide if they're a good fit for you. So qualifying is a fundamental. Qualifying them means, are they a fit? I may think that they're a fit because I listed them on a prospect. I think that they make a lot of money. I think that they need real estate. I think that they need my services as a roofer, whatever it is that you do. But approaching them and moving them to the next step of qualifying is actually determining, are they? I don't want to assume somebody is a candidate for what it is that I have to offer. I want to verify. And how I verify is I qualify. Once I have a qualified candidate or a qualified prospective customer, then I can go ahead and start identifying their needs, identifying their wants, identifying their desires, identifying what's meaningful to them, and then I can begin to present my products and services to them. And then after I've presented my products and services, I can ask for their commitment to partner with me or to partner with my program, my products, my services. And oftentimes that is referred to as closing the sale, but closing can sometimes seem manipulative. So I like the phrase gaining commitment, because when you've gained commitment, you've answered all of the questions, you've done a good job in consulting the individual on the reasons of why your products and services best match their needs and their wants and their desires. And then you're asking them if they'd like to partner with you or they'd like to take the next step. Follow-up is the next one. This is definitely, we say the fortune is in the follow-up, and we'll talk a little bit more about that today. Customer service, if you have poor customer service habits or you have poor communication habits, you're likely going to have less sales because communication is the result that you get. And so if you're not getting good results with customer service, it's probably because your communication is not stellar. And if you're not delivering a wow type of experience, you're probably not going to get a lot of referrals, which could then lead to lower sales. Knowledge is a fundamental, and we'll talk a little bit more about the different areas that we can improve our knowledge, but these are the main fundamentals that I'm going to talk to you about today. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. Before I go deep on prospecting, I want to go around the room and I want to ask each one of you, who is a prospect for what it is that you do? So Marshall, if you could simply share with us, who is a ideal client or ideal customer for what it is that you do?
uh, Anyone, but I would say someone who has means and wants to help themselves and wants to get more organized and get some strategy around some goals that they have.
Okay. So somebody that wants to have some strategies and has the means to provide for themselves is kind of a qualifier. How about you, Nancy? What would you say is your ideal client profile?
I would say is single women ages 30 to 55 who struggle with people pleasing, feeling like a pushover, doormat, and wanting to free themselves from that.
Nice. How about you, Julie? I know that you're still working on some things, but do you have an ideal client profile yet that you have clarified?
Well, mine would be someone who's experienced a loss or is going through grief and is maybe looking for some inspiration to help them get through that and see, ways to find peace and healing through that experience.
Okay. How about you, Lala? What would you say is your ideal client profile?
Anybody who's in the real estate profession that is afraid of using video, because right now people are confused about real estate. It's up to us to teach, and people are afraid to put their face on camera.
Very nice. How about you, Augustine?
Yeah, for one section of the business, it would be commercial property managers, and that would be for 1 and 2 story high buildings.
Very nice. Okay. So you've gotten a little bit of clarity. I don't know if that's the first time that you've spoken it out loud, but hopefully all of you have spent a little bit of time identifying what are the qualifications, what are the demographics, what are the psychographics. We talked about that last week in marketing, but some of you clarified a little bit more distinct audience with a little bit more about the needs and wants, problems, and pain. So if you were to think about the most likely place to find your target audience, would you know how to approach them? Would you know where they are so that you could have a conversation with them, or how to attract them into a conversation? Anybody want to share what their most profitable prospecting strategy is to connect with their target audience?
I think I could speak at most real estate office meetings. They're always looking for people to come in and speak or teach them something. So that would be where I could start with, is to, give them something of value. Maybe a video marketing plan, which I've already created, but teach them the basics of why it's important to use video in their marketing. So meetings would be good.
Yeah. And I've thought about your offer before, Lala, because we've had conversations, and I don't know if I would use the words afraid or fearful, because I know that that's a targeting niche of who that you want to talk to. But I would say that there's a lot of people out there that are in the real estate industry that are not afraid of doing videos, but they're not doing videos. And it's not because they're scared, it's just because they don't necessarily know what to talk about or what technology they need. And so I would maybe open up the aperture and maybe think more about and again, because afraid is somewhat of a negative, I would maybe play that to the positive, and I'd say, I specialize in helping real estate professionals to create engaging videos that attract their buyers or attract their prospective clients and past clients to have conversations with them, right? So now that opens up the aperture to a bigger audience, and you're not necessarily saying that they're scared. You're saying, do you want to use video to engage your future clients and past clients to reach out to you and to have a conversation about their real estate needs and wants? I can show you how to do that using videos. And now you're bringing in a different audience, and it's not, I'm looking for the scared people that are trembling because they can't get on video. And you'll meet plenty of them, right? I would say that 99.9% of all real estate agents that are not doing video are probably scared. They're scared of looking like a fool. They're scared that people are going to judge them. They're going to be scared that they're wasting their time. They're going to do all this work, and but it's not necessarily that they're scared of the camera. They're scared of something else. So you could play in that and say, I find that the reason why most people don't record videos is they're scared it's going to be a waste of time. They're scared it won't come off right. They're scared that people won't watch them. They're scared about what people will say if they watch them. So you could still play into their fears, but it's not limiting to you. What about you?
Thank you.
You're welcome. What about you, Nancy? What would you say is your best prospecting? You said social media in the chat, but I'm curious to know, what is it on social media that helps you to find people that meet your qualifications?
I want to say that people like to complain online, and they like to share their points of view on certain videos or perspectives. And so I think that there's a wealth of information there and abilities to reach out to those people or even present information. The majority of my clients right now that I get are word of mouth, but that only limits it to so much. So I think that there's so much information that can be provided in social media that that would be the place that I would go.
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, I want all of you to think about this. 1 to 10, 10 being the best you could possibly be doing at prospecting, meaning that you have a funnel filled with qualified candidates that you could reach out to and approach. If that's a 10, 1 is, I'm not good at finding prospective clients, candidates, customers. What kind of a score would you give yourself today? So Nancy, you're honest with yourself. You gave yourself a 3. I'm assuming that's honest. So what is separating you from being a 9 or a 10?
I'm trained and to be very professional and statistics and research and all of that. And that's very boring when it's presented to the audience. So I think what stops me is creating the right copy that is engaging and is capturing people and is doing all this fancy stuff so people pay attention and stop in their tracks to listen.
Yeah.
So I'm learning. That's part of something that I'm learning and practicing and trying out. So yeah, I think that stops me.
So one of the things that I like to do is I like to challenge people to a little bit of a game. So the game is that if I was to pay you $100, $1,000, $10,000, come up with the number of dollars that would make you motivated to do it. If I was to pay you that amount of money to come up with a list of 100 people that you think would benefit from knowing about what it is that you do, why you're doing it, and how it helps people, do you think you could come up with a list? Now, I didn't ask you to come up with a list of people that you could sell and tell. What I asked you was to come up with a list of people that you think would benefit from knowing what you do, why you do it, and how it works. And if you would be willing to take that challenge and you were to write down the names of 100 people, you could start approaching those people and asking them, do you know of anybody that, and then you give your qualifiers, and your qualifiers again, what was your prospect? It was people that had
That we're feeling like people pleasers and doormats and etc.
Yeah. And do you think that if you were to share that question with 100 people and you were to tell them what you're doing and why you're doing it, like you would tell your story first, you call it your origin story, or you tell your story and say, this is where I've been, this is where I'm at, and this is where I'm going. So this is what has happened to me in the past. This is where I'm at today, and this is where I'm going. And the reason why I'm reaching out to you, Nancy, is I'm looking for people that have kind of felt like that they're the doormat, that they've basically given themselves to everybody else. They're constantly a people pleaser. They're constantly doing what everybody else is asking them to do. They're having a hard time saying no because I've got a free report. I've got a free white paper. I've got a free article. I've got a video that I did that helps people to take back control of their life and to start becoming the dominant force in their life or something along those lines. Out of 100 people, how many people do you think, approximately, how many of those people do you think would have somebody or would be that person that would say, well, I'm interested. What is it? I'd like to see it. Out of 100, how many do you think?
I'd say that if it's at least 10%, I'll be happy.
I mean, you're not selling it. You're not selling them something. And this is the part where, they say that sales is directly correlated to enthusiasm, and how you see it is how you do it. If you think of yourself as I'm going to contact these 100 people to sell them something, you're not going to share the same enthusiasm as I'm going to contact these 100 people because the people that need me, want me, and can use what I have are somewhere in those 100 relationships. And those people know people that need me. So if it's not those 100 people, but that's the way that I'm going. And again, you could go a lot of different directions. You could go post on social media, really clever marketing post, and you could go out there and run an ad in the billboards, or you could publish an ad in the magazine and say, Nancy's got this amazing article on how to not be a doormat in your life. And that could lead to new incoming prospects as well. But if you're a business owner and you're spending money on marketing and you haven't ever talked to people, my experience is you're going to waste a lot of money. I mean, you might as well take your money and just go over and throw it in the garbage can and just know that that's typically what you're going to get from your marketing if you've never talked to people, because part of the way that you get better with marketing is you learn what people need, want, and desire so that you can target those marketing dollars to reach the audience that you really want to talk to versus, somebody coming to you and say, hey, Nancy, I can do website optimization. Okay, how much does it cost? $1,000. Okay. Nancy, I can do an article on you. Nancy, I can create blog posts for you. Nancy, and there's like constantly people asking you to do marketing, but you never talk to anybody. And now you're spending a bunch of money on marketing, and you've never just gone to the people that know you, like you, and trust you and said, this is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. This is how it's impacting my life and how it's impacting other people. Do you know of anybody that is like this that you could introduce me to? I would really appreciate the endorsement. And I'm even willing to give you a Starbucks gift card, or I'm willing to give you a Target or whatever your favorite place is. I'm willing to give you a $25 gift card if you connect somebody to me who takes advantage of the services that I offer. Because I'd much rather give my money to my friends and my families and my coworkers or the people that I know, like, and trust than to give it to Google or to give it to Facebook for ads. And again, not to say that those aren't great marketing strategies, but if you don't have a good prospecting strategy to start and you haven't really nailed down your marketing, I highly recommend doing that exercise because you'll learn a ton about yourself and you'll realize that you have business right in front of you. All you got to do is just share your story. Don't go out there and sell whatever it is that you're selling. Go out there and just share it and have something of value so that you can make that relational deposit into other people so you can give them something of value, a video, a podcast link, an article, a white paper, an ebook, and it doesn't even have to be yours. You can say, I'm still working on my book. And I know Julie's working on some stuff. She can say, I'm still working on my grief book. I'm writing it right now. I'm on chapter 2, and I hope to have it done by the end of the year. But I'm trying to connect with people that are suffering or that are going through grief, because I have resources and I'm doing a podcast and I'm doing some other things that I'd like to help them with it at no cost. And I'm going to be launching my program or my product or my service in the future. And if it's something that they're interested in, I'd love to invite them to check it out when it's ready. But I'm just connecting with people right now, and I'm loving people, and I'm serving people, and I'm building relationships with people that need and maybe want and can use what I have. And that's a very organic, well, and authentic prospecting strategies. There's also, like Marshall and I have talked. Marshall, when you think about the places, I mean, you said your target audience is pretty wide. You basically said anybody that is basically providing for themselves, who would like to improve the quality and quantity of their life, I'm assuming. But who has your target audience as a client already? I mean, who are the top 2, 3, 4 professions that are already working with your clientele that they have a relationship with them? And if you could make a relationship with those people, they could likely introduce you to their people.
I'm maybe misunderstanding the question. The people who know the people I want to work with, is that who you're
Yeah, who's doing business with the people that you would like to work with, that you think would be a good possible referral source or a good connection to be able to introduce you to their clients that would be perfect candidates for you?
That's a good question. I really have to narrow down my ideal clientele before I can identify that really aggressively. But I would say if I narrow it down to small business owners, they tend to want to communicate with other small business owners, vendors, coaches, people who are helping their businesses grow in other areas.
Right. So part of your prospecting strategy, and again, you went through a little bit of target audience work right there. You started thinking about small business owners, which I would say would be a very qualified candidate for what it is that you offer, right? So now that you've targeted special or small business owners, now you can think about who are all the people that small business owners write checks to every month or every 6 months or every year. My brother, Jeff, is a small business owner. He probably won't mind me saying this, but I'll say it anyway. I think he pays his insurance agent over $100,000 a year. He's got 9 cars, Ferrari, Rolls Royce, a 40-acre ranch in Southern California, a 7,000 square foot lake house, a home in Montana. He's got a lot of insurance. So you think that that person is probably pretty connected to people like Jeff, my brother. And you would think, well, if they're connected to that, they're probably connected to other people that maybe pay them $50,000 in insurance. I mean, think about your insurance agent. When you think about your home, auto, your umbrella policy, anything else that you pay, it's a pretty good chunk of change. You would think that you could have the authority to reach out to your insurance agent and say, who do you know? I'm paying you money, right? I mean, who do you know that could potentially benefit from what it is that I have to offer? Or would you be willing to, right, and ask a request? Same thing with your banker, mortgage professional, attorney, accountant. I mean, there's all these other people. So having a good prospecting strategy comes down to first knowing your target audience, and then it comes back to what is my audience, my target audience need? What is it they want? What are their problems and what are their pain? Because if I don't know those, and I would really challenge each one of you to write that out. What is it that your target audience wants? What is it they need? What is it that their problems, what are their problems and where are their pain? You could expand that to what are they passionate about? What would bring them great pleasure, right? You could go to the opposite of problems and pain, and you can go to passion and pleasure or purpose something that would be meaningful to them, and start targeting that down as well. But I'll do this quick little exercise with all of you. So I want you to look around your room, and I want you to, wherever you are, just look around, and I want you to find something that is brown, and I want you to identify as many brown things as you can see. All right? You got it all? Now I want you to close your eyes, play along with me, close your eyes, make sure they're nice and tight, and I want you to tell me what is red in your room. You get the point? The chances is that you probably know specifically what is brown. And even if it wasn't brown, some of you even made it brown. Like it was beige, but you're like, that's kind of brown. So we get what we're looking for. And if you haven't spent the time clarifying who you're looking for, well, then you're going to have a less chance of finding them than if you are looking for them and you know what you're looking for, right? So take the time to write down those needs, wants, desires, and you're going to have a better chance of finding those individual people. The second fundamental is in the approach. And so there's lots of different ways that you can approach people about your products and services. What you're ultimately trying to do in the approach is not to try to sell them your product or service. You never, and this is a jotter downer, if you're taking notes, this is an important thing to remember. You never want to combine the approach and the presentation. You never want to do that unless you've asked for permission to do so. So the approach is to attract people to a conversation and to get to know them. Because if you approach them and present them a product or service, then it sounds pitchy, it sounds salesy, you start having commission breath or sales breath, and that kind of reeks up and people start avoiding you. And that's where you have kind of a negative connotation. When people have, gotten lazy and they just are selling and telling, they're not attracting people into a conversation and qualifying them to see if they're a good candidate, then it feels like you're being sold or you're being pitched something. So your ultimate goal is to attract interest. And in the approach, you want to be able to offer your unique selling proposition, or some people use the term unique value proposition. What is it that you do that's unique to you that other people would be attracted to want to know more about, or that they would want to learn more about what it is that you offer? And that's oftentimes just addressing an obvious void in the marketplace. So price, terms, service, selection, communication, value. And this is a process. It's not an event. You don't just go, okay, I came to the event with Dave and now I have my unique selling proposition or my unique value proposition. You typically have to work on this to get something that's really attractive and it's short, that you can use when you're approaching candidates and client or prospective clients, and you can have that conversation with them. There's other things that you can do around unique delivery tools. So being able to get somebody's attention, and I'll use Lala as an example, is that Lala wants to work with real estate agents. So she could do a couple of different things. One of the things that I think would be really valuable is she could do a video personalized to the individual agent, and she could share her unique value proposition and an offer of value to help that person become attracted to want to know more. So without a lot of expense, Lala, you could go to your camera and you could turn it on and you can go, "Hi, Lala. This is David Bush from Grow My Profit. Hey, thanks for connecting up with me on Facebook. I really love connecting with other agents. And just a quick little introduction. I specialize in helping real estate agents who want to attract more clients and educate more clients with video to overcome the complexities, overcome the fear and the challenges with recording videos. And I make it really easy for them. If you'd like a complimentary training video on how to go about doing this, I'd love to send it to you. Hope you're doing great. Have a great day." I don't know your business. You could probably make that sound a whole lot better than I did.
You did excellent.
So do you see the simplicity of just the approach was, I'm not trying to sell you a package. I'm just offering you a free video that would explain how to do what it is that I do. And this is one of the things that you find in the world of consulting and products, is that tell people how to do it and give it to them for free. And then charge them to help them to do it. So that's one of the things that you can do in your approach, is that you can give them the steps. Here's the light that I use. Here's the video camera that I use. Here's the strategy. Here's the tactics of how I do it. How's that working for you? And they go, well, I know what I need to do. I just need to do it. And you go, well, I specialize in helping you to do it. If I could show you a way where you could create 10 videos a month or 10 videos a quarter, and it didn't take you more than an hour to do it, would you be interested in learning how you could do that? Yeah, of course, right? I mean, sign me up on that opportunity. So now you're giving them some value, you're attracting them with your unique value proposition. And the unique value proposition was, I help real estate agents to attract more buyers and past clients to have conversations about their real estate needs using short, fun videos that are educational and entertaining. Would you like to know more about how you can do it? I've got a video that explains how you do it, and I recorded it. Would love to send it to you. And now you're sending
What's
them.
so funny, David, is I do that with my clients. So I don't know why I'm not thinking that I do the same thing with videos. Like, I always send my clients something like that, and every step that they do in buying or selling real estate. So I don't know why this all of a sudden just clicked, but it clicked.
That's cool. Well, there's another strategy that I can share with you a little bit later, but we utilize technology. There's a platform that we have created or we've partnered with that allows us to be able to send messages to people on LinkedIn and on Facebook. And so these are different people that we are currently targeting as prospective clients. So here's a list of business owners that have $1 to $10 million in revenue. They're CEOs, founders, and owners. And we can basically send them an automated message. This is a system that sends automated messages. And so I can send a message to somebody on LinkedIn, and you could target 1,000 real estate agents on LinkedIn, and you could send them a customized message that said, Lala, it puts their first name in automatically. LinkedIn suggested we connect after reviewing your profile. I thought it was a great idea. Now, you could also embed a video in that simple introduction on LinkedIn. You can also, this is what it looks like when it comes in, but if you want to do an embedded video and say, I specialize in helping real estate agents use video and would love to share some helpful thoughts with you. And that could be a video that you actually add right into this platform. And again, you can do it manually, or you can utilize technology. These are just some examples of approaches that people use to generate more conversations where you can qualify them to move them through the process. And I can go through this technology with you later. I'm just giving you an example of how utilizing, identifying a candidate or a prospective client, and then knowing where to go to prospect for them. A lot of your people are on social media and on LinkedIn and Facebook. What's your approach with them? Are you selling and telling? Or are you sharing and caring and educating and inviting? Because there's a difference in how you're going to get responses there. So going back to the approaches that you can use, different unique delivery tools. You could also do lumpy mail, if you've ever heard of that concept, where you basically send them a formal letter, and you put something in it that makes it a little bit lumpy, like an eraser or something else. And so when they get it, they grab a hold of it and they go, oh, what is this? And then they open it up because it has an attraction factor to it. I was in the mortgage business many, many moons ago, and I worked with a lot of real estate agents. And one of the top agents was somebody that he was a man, and he had his advertisement was the biggest the biggest person in real estate, and he was like 6'6" or 6'7", and he had these big billboards all over town that said, you know, Tom Randall, the biggest person in real estate, or something like that. Play on words. So and he would never refer me any business, and so I got creative, and I heard about this idea of a special delivery box. So I went to Victoria's Secret, and I got a box, and I went to the grocery store, and I got a bunch of payday bars, and I put all of those payday bars, I taped them inside of the box, and then I put a note on there, and I said, her secret's out. She's sending all of her clients to David Bush for fast and easy transactions with no problems or something of that nature, and it's increasing her payday. So I delivered the box as a Victoria's Secret box, and I said to Tom Randall to the front desk, and I handed it off to the receptionist, which she got a good giggle. And I said, would you mind just leaving it here on the counter until he comes and picks it up? Because he wasn't there. So then everybody's walking by and going, what is this? And then they're
Right.
lingerie. I was going to say lingerie. So then he gets it and calls me, and he's laughing, and he goes, as a great marketing ploy, I just want to say, I've got a person right now I'm referring my clients to, but I'm going to get you something soon. And it was the
Right.
door opener, because I used something that was unique to stand out. And my goal was not to get him to become a referral partner that day. My goal was to approach them, to move them to a conversation. And it wasn't very much longer before I had that conversation where I moved him to a qualifying appointment. And that's the next fundamental, is that I got the attention by attracting interest using something unique that was value driven, that was creative. Obviously, it had candy bars in it, so it wasn't, you know, a big expense, but it was something of value to them, and it was creative. So once I got the conversation started with this person, now I'm going through and I'm qualifying. And in sales, you know, a lot of people's perception of sales is I I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to be like where you're manipulating people to buy things and you're constantly trying to sell them. Well, I don't look at sales that way. I look at sales as more of a consultant, is that I want to know your needs, your wants, your problems, and your pain. And then I want to know what your passion is. What are your pleasure points? What are the things that would really do it for you? Like, where's the problem and where's the pleasure? And once I know what that is, and I know what the barriers are that are holding you back from doing what it is that you want to do, then and only then can I actually present solutions. And so I ask a lot of open-ended questions using the 6 questions that taught me all I knew: what, why, when, where, how, and who. And if you will be creative in how you ask your questions to find their needs, their wants, their problems, and their pain, you're going to end up having a better relationship with that prospective client versus just getting into a sales pitch and selling and telling them about the features and benefits of everything that you can offer. So, really quickly, what is one question that you could ask your prospective client after you have approached them? What's one question that you could ask that would lead you to a possible pain, problem, passion, or pleasure point that would be valuable for you to know before you presented what you do? Anybody have one? Welcome, Vicky. I didn't see you jump in, but I'm glad you're here. Augustine, what would you say would be your question that would help you to better understand the needs and wants of your prospective client?
Sure. So usually it's something along the lines of what is most important to them, product, service, or price. So that kind of helps me get a little better understanding of where they're at.
Yeah. And I would maybe even play with the question, if I don't know, maybe you've tried it already, but if you were to put these 3 things in chronological order on what's the most important thing to you, would it be price, service, or what was the other one? Price, service, and
Quality.
Quality. How would you rate those? And once you knew what that ranking was, then that you would organize your presentation around the way that they prioritize things, right? So that could be a simple way of doing it. Nancy, did anything come to you? How would you go about asking a question that would be open-ended that would help you define the pain or problem of your prospective client?
Kind of tricky because the focus that I have right now is creating boundaries, creating a book and courses all around boundaries. And so when I think about who needs boundaries, usually people that are people pleasers or that are having difficulty with relationships and things like that. So it's sort of obvious.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if the question would be something like, what's your ideal relationship like? So sort of looking into, yes, you're in pain, it's obvious, but what would it be like if you had it all? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. Another angle would be is that what is a boundary that consistently gets crossed by the people in your life? Because that would tell you the pain and the problem, right? And then the opposite of that is, what is a boundary that you know that if you were to implement this boundary, you would protect yourself from being overrun by other people? So now you're asking for something that would prevent the problems and the pain. Um, or you could ask something along the lines of, what is the most common issue that continues to show up in your life where people are taking advantage of your kindness, your generosity, your giving, and your care? What is the thing that is the constant or the most consistent? There's a great idea around what's the one big thing. If you could fix one thing and you target it just down to one, that's why I liked Augustine's idea about which one's the most important, because then they have to choose one. But I'd also like to know how the other one would rate. So maybe I would ask a follow-up question and say, okay, what would be number two? But I like the idea of asking the question, what's the one thing that you are struggling with the most right now when it comes to growing your business? Or what's the one thing that you'd really love to accomplish in your financial assets and insurance, if Marshall was asking the question? So trying to find something that would be specifically addressable. And then when you ask that question, you can ask the question, now tell me more about that. Why is that? Why did you say that? I'm curious. What is it about that that has caused you the most pain? And where else would you be able to set some boundaries? Or you would ask some of the follow-up questions once you've exposed some of the pain, because many people will tell you what the topical pain is, but they won't tell you more of the deeper down pain. So you may have to have a couple of questions that can help you to uncover that before you can really help them to take advantage of the benefits and services of what you have to offer. So the next fundamental is presenting. So what we do is we focus on presenting solutions to problems and pain, and we help people to accomplish or to attain their desires and goals. And we talk about benefits more than we talk about features. So the benefit is, if you take advantage of my solution, here's the benefits that you're going to experience. Features are focused on logic. Benefits are focused on emotions. So when you're talking to most people in a sales environment, or you're trying to get them to purchase something, you want to talk about benefits more than you talk about features. Now you can talk about the features, like, Augustine has, he sells roofs. And so he could end up talking about the different types of shingles and the different types of features of those shingles. But what he wants to do is that the benefit of working with our company, Houston Roofing Experts, or whatever the name of the company is, the benefits of working with us, the benefits of using our program are ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. And those need to be the most solid things that go into their memory versus all of the features, because this is going to be more of a logical decision oh, those are nice features. This is going to be more of a, if you want consistent communication, if you want guaranteed weekly updates, if you want to have a process that where you have access to additional support or encouragement or resources or benefits of 24 hours a day, 7 days a week customer service. This is why you would want to use our solution. And there's a balance, right? There's a balance between sharing features and benefits, but if you put them in this order, here's our solution and here's the benefits of using our solutions, and then here are the features that we can highlight that are from our programming. Questions would be the last thing. So when you get done with your presentation and you've given your solution and you've now finished talking about the benefits and the features, you ask the question and you say, do you have any more questions? And this is called a transition. And most people don't know how to do this. And so a lot of times they'll have lower sales because they don't know how to move from this stage to the next stage, which is gaining the commitment. So the typical ending of a presentation, some of you know what that typical ending is that we ask the question, so what do you think? What do you think, Nancy? What do you think, Julie? What do you think, Augustine? What do you think about what I've shared with you so far? And they typically will respond, I need to think about it, because you just told them what to do and think. And most people would rather do anything but think. But because that's what you told them, that's what they responded with. So getting away from what did you think and asking the question, do you have any other questions, Julie? Is there anything that I haven't covered? And role play with me for just a second, Julie. If I was to ask you the question and you were to play like a prospective client of David Bush, let's just say that you don't have any more questions. Do you have any more questions, Julie?
No.
Great. Based on what I shared today, does this sound like a good fit? Does this sound like something that you'd like to get started with? Because I would really love to work with you. And I think that we could accomplish X, Y, and Z, like I discussed in the presentation of our options. Would you like to go ahead and get started? That's a transition that a lot of people don't want to go to that because they would much rather have the person just tell them, I want to buy and I want to, because they know that there could be a possible negative that comes from that question of, would you like to go ahead and get started? And if I was to ask you and you were really playing hard to get, I'd say, Julie, would you like to go ahead and get started? And
I don't know. Maybe not right now.
I totally understand how you feel. Many of the people I've worked with have felt the same way. What I found is oftentimes I didn't do a good enough job covering something, or there was something that I missed. Is there anything that is causing you to not feel like you want to move forward? Is there anything that's holding you back that I could maybe address a little bit better than what I did previously?
Well, I think I wanted to see compare prices with other roofers.
Right. And what kind of a price point are you looking at? What's your budget for this? Do you have a specific number in mind? You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
You see how I asked her to take the next step, but she wanted to do some shopping and do some price comparisons before she made a decision. So again, I'm not trying to get Julie. I'm trying to find out if she's ready to move forward, if I've done a good enough job, and what is holding her back from making a decision to move forward with me. She needs more information. Okay. She needs more quotes. Okay. So do you have any other businesses that you're looking for quotes for? If I was to follow up with you in 72 hours, would that be a good time frame for me to follow up? And
Sure.
so Nancy has the statement that I hear this a lot, which is I'm afraid to be too pushy. And that's very understandable. A lot of people feel that way. Here's the deal. If you don't push people to make a good buying decision, they may be subject to a wolf that makes them make a bad decision about something that's not a good thing for them. So again, as you see it is how you do it. Do you believe that your products and services are a good fit for this client? if you're not going to be enthusiastic about it, right? You know, enthusiasm, the last four letters are IASM, which stands for I am sold myself. If you're not enthusiastic about working with people, they're going to oftentimes overthink it. And there'll be an analysis paralysis, and the pain and the problems that they say that they have, right? The ones that they're going to continue to get stomped on. They're going to continue to be like a welcome mat in the front door. They're going to continue to be taken advantage of, all because you didn't want to be pushy. So maybe you need to sacrifice what you think is pushy and be more of the mindset of, I want to help you to take your life back. I don't want to see you go through another day of feeling neglected or being a pushover and not being somebody of value in the world, that you can be all the things you want to be. I'd really like to work with you. And I'd love to start with you tomorrow. Is that something that sounds like a good idea for you? I'm not trying to be pushy, and I'm now talking off the record. I'm not trying to be pushy. I'm trying to rescue this person that's literally feeling defeated and disappointed and depressed because they have been stepped on by all these people in their life. So I just flip the script and I go, I'm the hero in this process, or I'm the guide that's helping them to become the hero in the process, which is actually better, is that they're the hero of the story. I'm just the guide. But if I don't ask them to jump and they think that they're going to make a decision down the road, there's this law of declining intent that says the longer they take to make a decision, there's going to be a less chance that they're going to make a decision to start with me than if they do it on the day that I actually have a conversation with them. So the other side of being not pushy is basically allowing the competition to take advantage of your prospective clients, because they're going to ask for the opportunity. So if you don't ask for it because you don't want to be pushy, but your competitor does, how do you feel about not having clients? How do you feel about having to go back to work someplace else because your business doesn't have enough clients because you didn't want to be pushy? And here's something I'll share with you. And again, everybody has their own perspective on this. I've had to come to my own conclusions about this. No matter what you do, Nancy, people are going to think what they want to think. Like, you could be not pushy at all, and somebody may have a thought that you're pushy, and you're going, me? Pushy? That's the last thing I could be. I can't control what people think. I can control what I do. I have control over what I can do. That's all I can do. And if I control what I'm doing and I don't feel like I'm pushing people to make a bad decision, I'll push people to make a good decision because I think it's in their best interest. Like, I believe that, Julie, you should set a due date to finish that book. You say, well, Dave, that's kind of pushy. Julie, your life depends on it. So I'm going to push you to write it. Give me a deadline. When are you going to finish that book? When are you going to do it? And you go, well, stop pushing me. I go, okay, well then write the book when it's a good fit for you. But I know your heart, and I know that you want to help people that are grieving, and you need to write the book. So write the
You're
book.
right.
And
I really do need a deadline.
so again, Julie says, Dave's kind of pushy, and thank God. Thank God that he pushed me to do it, because if he didn't push me to make that decision, I may not have made that decision. Nancy, if you're working with people that desperately need somebody to fight for them so that they can fight for themselves, you should feel like, you may think that I'm pushy, but the only reason why I'm pushing is because I believe in you. And I believe that we can find victory together, but you're going to have to step towards me, because I can't push you to the top of this mountain, or I can't push you to do all the things, but I'm going to push you outside your comfort zone. And remember that life begins at the end of your comfort zone, right? So if you don't push people to do things that are a little bit uncomfortable, well, then you'll never be known as the person that pushes people to greatness. You'll never be known as the person that pushes people to do things that are life-changing for them. And you have to accept that, because you're just not the pushy person. But I'm all the time in a pushing position if it's in the best interest of what I feel is in their best interest. If they don't want to do it, I'm going to be okay with the fact of whatever they think about me, because I did what I felt was right. And that's where you just have to get to that point where you feel that what you're doing is right. And when I do sales, and try to bring people in as clients, I don't ever want to be that person that goes, I'm pushing somebody to do something they don't want to do that's not a right fit for them. I don't want to do that. But I will push people to do the things that I think are right for them based on what they told me and based on what I know. And if they choose to think of me as a bad person, I'm going to be okay with that. Because one way or another, they're still going to think of me a certain way. I'd much rather be the one that has a profitable business that has clients than the one that isn't pushy and has no clients. And I'm not saying that you won't have any clients if you're not pushy. You get where I'm going.
Yeah.
It's kind of a
I
double-edged
just
sword.
think like in some ways, when someone is doing that to me, I immediately am turned off. Like you are just trying to sell me something and forcing me to do this when you didn't even sell me with your speech in the first place.
Right.
So I like the idea of bringing your unique proposition, because when I talk to clients, mind you, they are word of mouth, so they already are sold, they're really like
Yeah.
hot clients. So
Mhm.
it's not too hard for me to sell to them. But when I talk to them, it's very easy because I believe in what I do. Like I know it's really, really good.
Yeah.
And I can bring results. I've seen results. But when someone keeps like, but what would it take you? What would it do? Like it's kind of like back off. Like,
Yeah.
it's too much. I don't want to be that person.
So here's a phrase that I found to be really valuable, because I get what you're saying, is that you don't want to keep pushing and pressuring somebody if they're not responding. Here's the one that I've really enjoyed, and it's this phrase, and it says, Nancy, if I could show you more benefits, if I could show you a way where you could take advantage of what it is that you want to do, and you could do it in a way that you could afford, would you be open to exploring the different ways we can do it? So a lot of times people say, I can't afford it. So I'll say, I understand how you feel. Many other people felt the same way. Here's what I found is that if it's important, we can find the money to do it. So you may not be able to afford it, but if I could show you a way, Nancy, of how you could afford it, would you be open to exploring some different options of how to do that? And so I asked for permission to explore a little further, and that has given me some freedom from not feeling pushy because they gave me permission. And sometimes that's all you need to help a person to explore the different ways of how they can work with you, because again, they may have had a negative experience, and everybody's a different person. So, when you have candidates, you'll have four types of people. You'll have people that are motivated and interested in working with you. You'll have people that are interested in working with you, but they're not motivated to do it right now. And then you're going to have people that are motivated to work with you, but they're not interested in doing it the way that you're doing it. They love you, they just don't like your methodology, or they've got somebody else that they're working with that they already started working with. And so, yes, they are motivated to work with you, but they've got another system that they're doing. And then you're going to have people that are not motivated and not interested. And you're going to need to have some sales techniques for each one of those four. The first one, those are the hot referrals that you've been getting. You don't need to use a lot of sales techniques or skills to help them because they're already sold. But helping a person that's interested and not motivated right now, you want to find some ways to help them to get motivated, because they're going to get out of pain and get out of their problem faster if they do it now versus waiting. And then if you've got people that are motivated but not interested in doing it the way you're doing it, you'd want to be more curious and open conversation about what is it about the different products or the different services that you're using from somebody else that are really enjoyable to you. I'm curious because maybe that's a fit for you. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm somebody that you work with in the future, but I'm going to be opening that conversation to see if it's got any life to it in the future. And then the people that are not motivated and interested, that's the real skill, is knowing when you have somebody that doesn't want what you have and they're just being nice. And sometimes we think of nice as interested, right? It's like, oh, no, I don't think that I'd be interested in that, but thank you. Well, what about, it's like, well, you're being nice. I want to talk to somebody that's nice. And you're like, leave me alone. I'm not motivated and I'm not interested. But anyway, all right, so let's wrap things up here. Got a couple more slides I want to share with you. So presenting, we talked about gaining commitment. Once you've had a chance to ask the question, then you ask for the opportunity. And there's three primary strategies or tactics that I have found beneficial. And again, find the one that works well for you. There's lots of them. These are the three that I just have found the most comfort in. Is that as I'm going through the conversation with the individual, if I feel like that they are positive and affirming the things that I'm saying, if I feel like that they're somebody that is moving in the right direction, I'll just assume that they're interested. And the way that that sounds is it sounds like, based on our conversation, Nancy, it sounds like things are exactly the way that you wanted to see them. So I can go ahead and get you started on Monday. Does that sound like a good plan to you? I'm just going to assume that you're interested because you've never brought up any objections or any opportunities that would make me feel like that you're not going to move forward. So it's just an assumption. I'm assuming, and they say not to assume, right? If you ever heard that phrase before. You don't want to assume too much too quickly, but if you have evidence that demands a verdict that the person's interested, I would just assume that they're interested. And I'd say, I can go ahead and get you started on Monday. I can go ahead and get you what you need. I can go ahead and get you a contract if that's the next step for you. Any other questions or any other feedback for me? The next one would be the summary. And the summary is more, this is what we talked about doing. So A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, this is the proposal that we went over. Does that sound like a good fit for you? Does that sound like something that you're ready to get started on? So it's just more of an overview of the summary of the options. And then the third option that I really enjoy, which is kind of a good, better, best. It's kind of the Goldilocks option. So I've got three ways that you can work with me. One option is good. You can go to my website. I've got lots of free resources. I've got a podcast. I've got videos and lots of educational tools. I have a free Facebook group that you can be a part of. And I would love to have you be part of our community. And all of that's free. And that would be good. It'd be good for you and be good for me. What would be better is if you actually became a client of ours. And that would look like X, Y, and Z, or this is what the cost would be, and this is what you'd get from it. And the reason why I say it's better than good is because we would get a chance to have more personal interaction. You would have the tools, you'd have the products, you'd have the systems, and you'd be surrounded by other people that are doing what you want to do. And you're going to get better results when you're around a coach or around a person or around products or services that have given you a pathway to move forward on. And then the best option is, and that's your high ticket option. Now you can start with the best and you can work down to the good. My experience is that I typically will move good, better, best. And most people will come back to the better option. Some people will choose the best option. But I leave it on best because that's when I go all in and I go, here's all the benefits that you get if you choose the best option. So I get a chance to end on the best with the best benefits, the best solution, the best reward, all those things. Questions on that? Hello? How are you? I'm glad you made it.
Oh yeah, me too. So I don't know where you began. Of course, I just sort of jumped in.
That's
but
okay.
I love what you just brought up. I love those three options. So were you saying, David, that you would typically, oh, thank you. So would you say that you would typically that if I'm understanding you correctly, that you would begin with that as opposed to going in with the mid option and just leaving it at that? I know some people teach that. You like to introduce all three and then settle on, they allow them to settle on typically option 2 or 3.
Yep. And
Okay.
I love, I don't like to be a salesy person.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I've removed the sales blockade, because that can stop me from doing the actions that lead to a profitable business. If I get myself focused in on not being pushy, not being salesy. So I'm very passionate about giving a good option that gives really good value for zero cost. And the reason why I offer that one first is because it gives me permission to follow up with them for life. Once they agree to the good option, I think I'm just going to go with the good option for right now. I go, great. Why did you choose the good option? And then they're going to tell me all the reasons of why they didn't choose the better and the best option. And so I'm going to basically use that as a part of my follow-up, which, remember, the fortune is in the follow-up. So once I found out the reasons why they chose the good option, I may ask them some more questions like, tell me a little bit more about that. Why is that important to you? Or why is that an issue? I'm curious to know why you said that. And then once they've given me a little bit more clarity, and I'd say, you know what? I understand how you feel. Many of the people I've worked with felt the same way, or they found the same thing. And here's how I've responded to that. Would you stay in touch with me? Would you continue to update me on your progress? And would you be okay if I reached out to you to check in every 30, 60, or 90 days just to see how you're progressing? Because I would really love to see you do well or to check in on you. So like in Augustine's world, he might not be in a position where if he sells a person or is trying to sell them a roof, is that he might be in a position where he's not checking in with them on the regular basis. But if he did, or if he had a process where he checked in and he provided them with a free coupon or something that had to do with some other service that he could offer that would be a value added service that maybe the other company didn't offer. Or it could be something as simple as, hey, just wanted to say thanks for the opportunity to allow me to quote your roof. I know that you chose a different company, but if you ever have any home maintenance needs, or if you have any opportunities for roofing needs, or if you know of anybody else that's interested, I'd surely, and they may have a horrendous experience with the other roofer. And now I'm building a relationship with somebody that could be a client for life relationship. And it could be, they refer me to other people. So I like the good, better, best option because it makes me feel like I'm adding value. And typically people will choose the middle option. I like the high ticket item. I like the idea of going all in with people, but I also like the idea that they have some secondary options, and I can help them to choose the best option later if that's an option for them.
I love that. I love that because it's so authentic and it's so gentle, but it's also really, really thinking about their best interests, which is the better and the best. But
Yeah.
it gives them that ability to say no. And then it's like you're saying, like it's the long game, which I love. Because I think so often where, at least I know from my experience, there's so many different, I guess, sales philosophies that it's about being able to get the sale now and, stick to this and don't budge, which I see there's merit in that.
Yeah.
And you can stick to that, but the layering in of these other options, it's like it really plays so beautifully into the mind, which wants a way out. It's like we
Yeah.
want it sold, but we want to feel like we chose it as opposed to just saying yes sometimes. I love that. And I can see too, if it was me, for example, that if I wasn't, like the roofing example you were giving, like if I wasn't in the market, but you were so genuine and so authentic and I didn't feel pressured, and you did give me something, like you're saying, that gave me value, there's this automatic reciprocity. It's like, oh my God, I wish it did my business. And then I'm so much, it's like my mind almost would, not almost, my mind would begin to look for, like, who do I know? Like in the moment that someone comes to mind, I would think of you and want to give you, my roofing business, or their roofing business rather, and just give you a recommendation and share you. I just love
Right.
this.
Yeah, building that client for life relationship versus just the transactional relationship. And I know Augustine's been using it. He commented in the chat that he's been using it, and it helps people to feel like they're in control and they get a chance to choose what's best for them rather than being sold a all or nothing option. But again, if you have an all or nothing option as your strategy, it doesn't mean that your strategy is not a good one. It's just, I found a good, better, best option is really good for me.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. So follow up, I don't know if anybody's ever seen this before, but it's pretty popular in the marketplace around sales. But, if you don't have a follow-up strategy, you are likely underperforming as a business, because you can see that 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. So, going back to the comment about not being pushy, is that there's a difference between being pleasantly persistent and being pushy. And if you're pleasantly persistent, there's a great marketing genius out there called Dan Kennedy. Some of you may have heard him, but he said one day that he was in his living room, he's watching TV, and all of a sudden he sees a guy jump his fence, and he runs up to his window and he starts pounding on the window. And he runs and hides and gets behind his couch, and he's like, what is this person doing? And he's yelling for him. He's like a lunatic outside, and he's yelling to say, open the door, open the door. Who's in here? Is anybody in here? And finally, he decided that he was going to go address the matter. He actually was going to call the cops, but he finally just went out there and got in front of the guy and said, what's your problem? And he goes, your house is on fire. So sometimes you can be perceived as an annoying pest, when in reality, if you just researched a little bit more about why that person, or why you were reaching out to them, you could actually be perceived as a welcome guest, because they just didn't know what they didn't know. So sometimes, Nancy, you may have, on first impression, you may have somebody say, at first Nancy was, she kept bugging me. She kept persisting that I get involved in her coaching program, or that I buy her program. And I just resisted. And she just kept following up with me, and she kept bothering me. She kept bugging me. And then I went through it, and it changed my life. And you go, was it worth persisting? Was it worth pushing? Was it worth, having a negative self perception, or a negative perception on who it is and what you do, to change that person's life, because they just didn't know what they didn't know? They were the person hiding behind the couch because you kept knocking on the door trying to change their life and tell them that their house was on fire, but they didn't know their house was on fire. So that's part of the idea of coming back and being supportive of what it is that they're doing. Okay. All right. Follow up, have a system. There's I have something that I do that's just really helpful for me, and it's follow up Fridays. So I don't schedule a lot of appointments on Fridays that are not follow ups. So, I learned from a gentleman by the name of Dan Sullivan, the idea of having focus days and having buffer days or planning days, and then free days which you didn't do any work. So my focus days are typically Monday through Thursday. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are more of kind of buffer days where I choose to do what I want to do. Free days, I basically choose those as I need them and as I want them. I like doing what I do, so I actually find recreation in what I'm doing. So people that try to get away from their job, that's up to them. But I have found that I'd much rather have free portions of my day rather than just having a full free day where I didn't do anything with work. Everybody's a little bit different there, but I do Friday follow up, and I try to organize my marketing calendar and my sequencing and messaging so that I have follow up in place. And I have always tried to have an irresistible offer that comes back to some marketing principles that we talked about last week, where you need to, if you're going to have quality marketing, you need to have scarcity and urgency. And if you're following up with people and you're using language like, I'm just following up, I'm just calling to check in, you're probably not going to get the same result as than if you said, hey, Nancy, I wanted to reach out to you, and I wanted to share something that's somewhat time sensitive, and I thought it would be really, really exciting to you. Do you have a few minutes today? Can we chat just for a few minutes? It's something I'd rather talk to you about versus type. You're going to get a better response to that follow-up call than if you say, hey, I'm just checking in to see if you're interested, something along those things. Questions on follow-up. I see Augustine says, I have a good, anyone have a good recommendation on a successful follow-up for previous clients' roof repairs, a gift to send out once a year to stay top of mind, or quarterly emails. Anybody have any good ideas on clever ways to
Gosh, Augustine, this is not really me. I swear this just dropped into my head, but the first thing that came to mind, and it's tied into tar, if you still use tar in roofs, is sending people a jar of Nutella. And I'm sorry if that's ridiculous, but it sounds ridiculous to me, but delicious. I just had to share it.
Nutella? Nice. That's good. But that could be a clever marketing strategy, right? And, you know, putting your a sticker with we're nuts about customer service or something along those lines. You could a humidifier, a free evaluation, a free roof evaluation.
I think that I really like the Nutella idea because it's really way different.
Mhm.
And it can be a whole, it may not have anything to do with roofing, but just have to do with relational, you know, and that's kind of what it's about. Anyway, just because these are clients that were wowed, you know, that we completed repairs on, and I just completely, I've forgotten about them. And so I'm thinking, hey, they're gonna need a roof within 1 to 3 years after we've repaired their roof. So I'm thinking, hey, we want to just make sure they would absolutely call us, but if they forget our number or forget about us, you know, so it's just something to stay top of mind kind of a deal. So that's to like a reconnect kind of a thing. So cool. Thank you.
Okay.
And a humidifier, absolutely. I think it'd be a little expensive trying to get them all out, but it's definitely a good idea too. So
Yeah, but it
thank
could
you.
be also something that is a referral, is that we're giving out 10 humidifiers for anyone who gives
That's
us a referral.
absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for both great ideas. I'm gonna jot them down.
But I would even go into Chat GPT and say, write witty email or letter to past roofing clients with an analogy to roofing and Nutella. Now, I don't know what it's going to come up with, but if you started with that in less than 30 seconds, I got a full email that gave me everything that I needed to write down. It could be a connection back to a jar of Nutella. And I'm nuts about you as your roofer for life. I'm nuts about doing roofs in Houston and putting a protective quality roof over my friends and family members' heads, you know, something along those lines. So
All
let's
great
go.
ideas. Thank you.
Yeah, let's go back and we'll wrap up here. A couple more slides. So follow up, and then the next one is to customer service, obviously 5-star customer service. So one of the things that I have found really valuable is knowing your customer's expectation for communication. There's a great quote that says, communication is the result that you get. So if people are mad that you're not communicating with them, their expectations may have been here, and your expectations for communication were here. And so there was a gap, and now you have upset clients. So asking them for their expectations regarding communication could help you to lower their expectations, or it could raise your performance for that particular client. And so asking for expectation is a huge customer service strategy for me. What is the communication practices of your organization? So how often do you communicate, right? So how do you become a welcome guest? Is that we send out weekly a weekly newsletter. We send out weekly homeowner tips. We send out weekly messages that are encouraging and educational with links back to our website. And I wanted to let you know that those are really part of the value that we bring to our clients. You know, communicating what to be looking for and what to expect, and then having a raving fan customer checklist. This doesn't have to be something that you manage. It could be something that you hand off to a virtual assistant. But if you were to think about a 5-star raving fan customer service, if you were to start from the point of conversation that you first talked to a candidate to the them spending a lot of money with you year over year, what would be the things that would need to happen between the point of conversation and before they became a lifelong customer that continued to make repeat orders? What would you need to have in that checklist to make sure that they, at some point or along the way, had many different wow experiences to make them such a raving fan that they would want to scream from the rooftops about your amazing services? And don't get overwhelmed on it. But there's simple things that you can do that make people go, wow, like sending them a gift, a clever gift like Nutella. And if you did that once a year to your past clients, and you know, every year they did it, and you maybe you did it around, you have a Latino audience, Augustine?
No, it's actually a mix, but it's more of it's more white. Yeah, it's more
Okay.
white.
I was just
Mhm.
thinking maybe Cinco de Mayo being in Houston, if there's, you know, a fun festivity that you love to do around Cinco de Mayo, that could be part of your Cinco de Mayo party, is that you invite people to come to the park. And every year, Cinco de Mayo is a big deal for your past clients. And you bring in, you know, you go into a couple of different people that have your target audience, you know, real estate agents, mortgage professionals, insurance professionals, and you have them all contribute to the party, and you throw a big customer service party on Cinco de Mayo, big fun deal. And it's something that they always talk about. And you say, hey, bring your family members and bring your friends. We're going to have the Cinco de Mayo party this Thursday at the park. And now you're working a particular area where you're developing relationships and raving fans. Um, Ongoing communication. I used to have this thing when I was in the mortgage business where I would do weekly updates. So every Friday before 5 o'clock at night, my team would call every single active person that was in process with us, and they would give them an update. Here's what happened. Here's what's going to happen, and here's what you can expect. And here's the information that you need to call or email if you need any more communication. But that was something that every Friday, and I made it a guarantee that said, you're going to get a weekly customer service communication update every Friday by 5 o'clock, or you get a gift certificate for $100. So I told my staff if they didn't do it, I was going to be upset because I was going to be out $100. So having that, and again, communication was something that was a problem back then. So communication was something that I stuck with, but it could be little thank you notes. So I have these thank you notes that I have in my desk, and because email is so appropriate for quick conversations, chat messages, but I'll send a thank you card handwritten, and I'll wow them with just a personal touch, which when people get a personal handwritten letter, they go, man, this is different. Wow, he took the time to write something out. I'll give people a copy of my book, and you don't have to write a book to do it. You can go buy cheap books, and you can, you know, or buy books that you think this book was life changing for me, and you can send them to people. And I go to the post office and I grab these little packages. It opens it up. I slide it in there. It costs me, I think, with the cost of the book, it may cost me retail $10 to $15 to send something to somebody. But again, I don't care if they ever read the book. It was the thought that counted and it stood out. And now I get a chance to follow up with them and say, hey, did you get the book? Did you like the book? And there's so many great ebooks that you can send, so many digital resources that are available that if you want to pass along a digital resource, you can say, this resource has really changed my life. This book has really been amazing to me. Here's a digital copy. I thought that you would enjoy it. Let me know how you enjoy it. All right. Couple other things. Knowledge. This is a great one. This is what I absolutely love to share with people. So, when you think about your product and service knowledge on a scale of A, B, C, D, or F, how would you grade yourself in products and services? How about your industry? A, B, C, D, or F? How about your technology knowledge? A, B, C, D, or F? Your skills as it relates to your industry or your business and what you do, A, B, C, D, or F. Maybe it's time for you to go back to school and you can read things, you can listen to things, and you can see up here in the cone of learning, you'll capture, remember, 10% of what you read, 20% of what you hear, 30% of what you see. So if you watch videos and you view images, you have a much better chance of retention. If you read and watch and hear, that's obviously going to be a combination. If you attend exhibits or watch demonstrations, those are going to increase your comprehension and retention. Participation, hands-on workshops, design collaborative lessons. That's why I try to take the PowerPoint down and have people talk, because that's participation and it's collaborative. So having Augustine say something that somebody else says, oh, that's a good idea, I should do that. Now there's a better chance that they're going to remember that than something that I said earlier in a PowerPoint. And then actually teaching people or training people to do it is going to actually be the best way for you to retain it. So if there's something that you would like to learn more or be better at, do a video on it, give an instructional PowerPoint on it, do a TED Talk on it, and you're going to be more likely to be more of an expert. So if there's a new roofing material that's going to be released, Augustine should be doing a presentation on it, because that's going to make him more skilled in demonstrating that. This is what we talked about earlier. I won't go into great detail on it, but if you are interested in utilizing technology to accelerate your prospecting and sales, we have this partnership with BDR.ai that basically takes all of these things and puts it into an automated sequence. And you can utilize that to target your audience. So you can buy lists of targeted people with mobile phone numbers and email addresses. So prospects should no longer be an issue if you're willing to invest in your success. And then we utilize digital reach out using technology like LinkedIn and Facebook to actually start conversations and approach people to build relationships. We also have the ability to actually dial phone numbers and actually call people and transfer them to you on a live voice or make appointments for you. And then we've got the ability to use email and CRM systems to help you to organize all of your content. So if that's a tool or a resource that's valuable to you, just reach out to me. This is what we've been experiencing just in our own personal use of the strategy. So if we send out 750 connection requests on LinkedIn, we get about 150 to 225 people that respond and actually accept that request. 45 to 94% of the people will actually reply to the messaging that we send to them, because there's a messaging sequence that is sent. And then we usually will get about 4 to 10 meetings out of those 750 connection requests. So it turns out to be about $25 to $100 per meeting. But from a marketing budget, if we can do 4 to 10 meetings at 25 to $100, it pencils out for us. So if that's something that you're interested in, we'd love to talk you through that. And next week, we're going to be talking about sales team growth. So how do you grow your team of people, whether that's outsourcing to a third party or whether that's building a team of people on your in your business. So that's all I have for you today. Questions, any feedback on sales? I know that Katya, you missed the beginning of it, but it's recorded, so you can watch the beginning if you needed to. Any other
This
questions?
was great. That was really helpful, and I like the approach of changing the mindset of sales and seeing how can I help another person and what is it that they need from me. So yeah, the whole class was great.
Right. Yeah, when you think of sales, think about sales as me having more transactions with people that need and want and desire what I have to offer. And if I have more sales, more lives are changed. If you think of sales as that weird person that bugs you all the time and is constantly annoying you, that's not going to be good. But if you think about lives being changed, people getting what they want, it's going to be a positive. So reach out if you'd like to have more questions. Katya, you want to say something?
Yeah. Thank you. I thought this was fantastic. I loved it. And I really appreciated or maybe I have a question around the idea of asking for their expectation as opposed to sharing what your communication will be like. I found that interesting. And I haven't really heard that approach before. Can you, if you have time, can you
Yeah,
just
of course.
expand on that?
Yeah, so you can start off with your own policies or processes and say, this is how I typically interact with my clients. We have communications here. Here's my office hours. So you can actually set your expectations or set your standards based upon what you have done in the past. And then you can ask them, does that sound like a good fit for what you're looking for? Or you can ask the question, because sometimes they are expecting a lot less than you're about to talk to them about. So for me, I always like to get the client or the customer talking and tell me what they want before I tell them what I have, because I want to try to meet them where they're at. So if their expectations are way down here and I come in hot and I'm way up here, I miss them. So I come down to their level after they tell me this is what I expect. Then I come down and I go, I'll meet you right there. Maybe be a little bit above them so that I kind of wow them. But this is going to really wow them, but it may also overwhelm them. So depending on the situation with your business model and what it is that you do, I would maybe adjust your strategy around expectations. But I always love asking people. And in the real estate world, when we were doing mortgages, there would be people that are like, I just expect you to do your job. I don't need a phone call every single week to tell me how the loan's doing. Just get the loan closed and that's all I need. I go, done. I'm not going to bother you with updates. But the person that goes, yes, I love to have communication. I go, that's exactly what we do. So then now I'm working with our team to go, hey, we treated people a little bit individually. We had our standards, processes, and protocols and systems and standard operating procedures, but we also knew when to wow certain people, because all clients are not created equal. I do not believe that. I believe that there's certain people that will absolutely be your raving fans, and those people should be treated unequal. Give them more love and support, because you're going to get more return on it. Thank you so much for your participation. I hope that this is helpful for you. Please give good comments and feedback when you see the recording link online, okay?
Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.